last week. We were in chapter 7. And yeah. Yeah, Krishna knows past, present, and future. Vedahan samatitani Partmani Charjuna Bhavishani Chabutani Mam Tu Vedana Shastra. Did Om Namo Bhagavate? I didn't do that.
No.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So,
be quiet.
maybe Krishna can start as usual with text 26.
Who's reading first, Maharaj?
You.
Am I? All right. Okay. Text 26. According to the Vedic opinion, there are two ways of passing from this world, one in light and one in darkness. When one passes in light, he does not come back, but when one passes in darkness, he returns.
Where are you reading from?
Chapter 7 now. Oh, hang on.
Chapter 8, then.
Oh, whoops. Good start. That's 7. All right. 26. O Arjuna, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past, all that is happening in the present, and all things that are yet to come. I also know all living entities, but me, no one knows.
Okay.
O Scion of Bharat, O Conqueror of the foes, all living entities are born into delusion, bewilderment, by dualities arising from desire and hate.
You can read the Sanskrit if you want, you know. I mean, it's practice. I mean, it may not be very easy.
I mean, I'll give it a crack if you want.
Yeah, why not?
28 now. I don't know. I forgot the tune.
Icha dvesha samuttena.
Excuse me, Prabhu. Can I just get to know what page we're on? I missed the last one, didn't I? And I've just been in maybe a drink, so I'm sorry.
It's Bhagavadgita, chapter 7, text number 27.
Okay, so
Chapter 7, text 27.
One.
Okay.
Yasam tva anta gatam papam jananam punya kamanam.
That's the wrong one, isn't it?
No, 728.
No, 27.
I just read that one.
You read 26, didn't you?
No, I read 26 and 27.
All right. So, okay. So, yeah, well, I'm saying, man, go back and read the Sanskrit, that's all. Ichadvesha samutena, that one.
Right. Ichadvesa samutena dvandva mohena bharata sava bhutani samoham sajayanti parantapa. O Scion of Bharat, O Conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by dualities arising from desire and hate.
Okay. So you can read to the end.
Okay. Well, shall I do the Sanskrit as well?
Yeah, anyway, I'll just comment on that, is that, you know, Krishna is now saying that he's talking about, you know, the illusion of this world. And then he emphasizes it in text 27, you know, desire and hate. in this world, you know, we either like something or we don't like it. You know, maybe we're neutral for some time, but the natural tendency of the modes of nature, they actually create this like and dislike. Sometimes we feel pleasure from something, and sometimes from the same thing we can get distress. So a devotee is not on that platform, he's on the spiritual platform. Whatever happens is fixed in his constitutional position. So therefore, he realizes that everything is temporary. This is the first instruction of Bhagavadgita. Matra sparshas, takantiya shitoshna shukadukada agamapayan nityastam satikshasvabhara. So, you know, we have to learn to tolerate. First of all, it might be with, you know, grit in the teeth, but after some time, it should be with knowledge. And then after some more time, it should be with higher taste. You just got such a higher taste that this lower taste doesn't actually bother us like that. So that's the illusion. So next one, 27. There.
Yasam tvanta gatim papam jananam punya kamanam te dvandva mohina ne mukta bhajante mam drita vrataha. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination.
So Krishna's answering, the question might be asked, is anybody who's free from those desire and hate? And so here he's saying the process. And usually we come to devotional service because we have adhikar, we have qualification for it from the past. You know, it's like we've got some sort of taste. Otherwise, without taste, you can't do anything. And we all have different degrees of that taste. So we shouldn't compare ourselves to others. We should see what we've got and get on with it, you know, be satisfied with that. Otherwise, we'll just be frustrated. So yeah, previous lives, and this is talking about somebody who's really, you know, they really actually understand the process, they practice devotional service, and they've got no more material desires left. Then, you know, because it's only material desires which are keeping us from going forward, whatever we are onto them, it'll actually be like an anchor. And then he goes on into the next verse. He says that he describes 4 types of devotees who have material desires. If you remember, in the first 6 chapters, we were talking about different types of karma yoga. Sakam bhaktas, they have many desires. So there's 4 kinds of sakam bhaktas, 4 types. So 3 of them we've described before. Remember in, where was it now? It was in the earlier part of this chapter. We're talking about those who surrender to Krishna. Jnana, Sukatina, Arjuna, Jnani, Chabra. You know, there's a Arta, one who desires, one who's suffering, Artati, one who's desiring wealth, Jignashu, one who's inquisitive. So we already described those type of bhaktas earlier. So now he's going to describe the last one, the Jnani, one who's in knowledge of the Supreme. He knows what he should do. And therefore, Krishna says that this devotee is more dear to him because he's doing it in knowledge. Yeah, so it says, so read it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, read it. Yeah, Prabhu, please.
So I was asking Jai Krishna to read it.
Oh, right.
Oh, you want me to read it? All right.
Okay, if you bail that, we'll let somebody else do it.
No, I thought you said, shall I read it?
I did.
Yeah, I did. I say, well, you read it.
Right, no worries. So verse 29, yeah?
Yeah.
Jara Marana Mokshaya Mam Ashritya Yatanti Ye Te Brahma Tadvidu Krishnam Adhyatmam Karma Chakilam. Intelligent persons who are endeavoring for liberation from old age and death take refuge in me in devotional service. They are actually Brahman because they entirely know everything about transcendental activities.
Okay, so that's a Gyani. Gyan means knowledge. He has knowledge about the process, about Krishna. Okay, so now we come to the, I think this is the last one. So Krishna asks in this one some questions. Sorry, Arjuna. Sorry, Arjuna stating, Krishna stating that those who actually who know the Supreme Personality of Godhead as in of the, you know, he's behind the creation of the material manifestation. He's the Supreme Lord of all the demigods. Some people are bewildered who is the Supreme Lord. He's actually the result of all sacrifices. All sacrifices are useless unless Krishna is mentioned in them. They don't produce any result. Then it says, the last one, can understand me and know me at the time of death. Okay. So, Don, can you read this 7:30?
Sadi Bhutadi Devamam Sadi Agnam Ye Cha Vidu Prayana Kale Pichamam Ye Vidu Yukta Chetasaha. Those who know me as the Supreme Lord, as the governing principle of the material manifestation, who know me as the one underlying all the demigods, and as the one sustaining all sacrifices, can, with steadfast mind, understand and know me even at the time of death.
So that's six. Six type of devotees, Sakam Bhaktas. There's the one who's surrendering to Krishna because he's suffering, one who's surrendering because he's in need of money, one who's inquisitive, and then the moksha karmi we've just mentioned. That's the fourth one who's in knowledge, he wants liberation. And then there's the pure devotee called Kevala. He only wants devotional service. So 4 times of Sakam Bhaktas. So this chapter describes 6 types of devotees. Yeah. Okay, so we'll go on to the next one. It's not a Jnani who, you know, is guided in impersonal Brahman. Sometimes we think Jnanis are actually impersonalists, but it's a Bhakta. He's interested in serving Krishna and he's developing knowledge. So there's a big difference. And the difference is that we develop knowledge by following the instructions of another Bhakta, of, you know, the spiritual master or the Acharya, and reading his literatures or the literatures of the devotional path. The others, they follow an impersonalist spiritual master, and, you know, the literatures they read are actually giving an impersonal understanding of the absolute truth only. So, you know, Krishna's hungry for love. He's not hungry for anything else. He gives people what they want, but he's not satisfied with them. But he's satisfied with devotion. So to love somebody, you have to know about that person. Otherwise, you can't actually develop a relationship. And that's why we're reading, even though we may not be taking it all in. You know, the sincere endeavor to try and understand is actually pretty Purvakam, it mentions in the seed verses. If that's what we're generally trying to do, we're trying to understand Krishna, although intellectually it may be difficult, then Krishna gives us a realized knowledge. He gives us faith through that knowledge from within. Okay. We can start the next chapter now. Attaining the Supreme. This is chapter 8. So here, Krishna will start answering these questions which were asked in the last chapter in verse 29 and 30. So, maybe Don's Mrs. Can read. Sita Takaram, Matthew.
Do I read the Sanskrit as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Arjuna Uvacha Kim Tad Brahma Kim Adhyatmam Kim Karma Purushottama Adibhutam Cha Kim Proktam Adidevan Kim Uchate. Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the Self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me.
So in this chapter,
It is the questions.
very quickly, from up to verse 4, he'll explain these things, all except how can one know me at the time of death? That's in the next verse. And if you read the next text, Matthew.
Sanskrit first. Okay. Adya Yagna Katham Kotra Rehismin Madhusudana Prayana Kalicha Katham Yenyo Si Niyatatmapi. Who is the Lord of sacrifice and how does he live in the body, O Madhusudana? And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death?
Next two, read next two.
Shri Bhagavan, start again. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Aksharam Brahma Paramam Svabhavodyatman Uchate Bhutabhavod Bhavakho Visharga Karma Samvichita. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the indestructible, transcendental living entity is called Brahman, and his eternal nature is called Adhyatma, the Self. Action pertaining to the development of the bodies of the living entities is called karma, or fruitive activities. Text 4. Adibhutam ksharo bhava purusha chatidaivartam adhyagno ham eva tra deha britam vara. O best of the embodied beings, the physical nature which is constantly changing is called Adibhuta, the material manifestation. The universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods, like those of the sun and the moon, is called Adideva, and I, the Supreme Lord, represent as the super soul in the heart of every embodied being, am called Adhyagna, the Lord of sacrifice.
Okay. So, what is Brahman? That's the transcendental living entity, the soul, not the body. What is his eternal nature? Well, we've got a liberated person who'll know his eternal nature, his eternal servant of Krishna. He'll know his spiritual form and everything. But a conditioned soul is Adhyatma, or his conception of the self will be the material body. Fruitive activities. This is karma. Activities which lead to another material body, in other words. Adibhuta we see every day in the material world. And Virat Purusha. So that's the describing the universal form of the Lord in the 11th chapter, which Krishna showed Arjuna, all the planetary systems and everything. Paramatma, that's the super soul in the heart. And or Adi Jagya, Adi Yagya. So this yagya means sacrifice. So we make sacrifice towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like I was saying earlier, when we perform a Vedic sacrifice, we might be worshipping the demigods. But the Vedic scripture is so arranged that you have to mention Vishnu's name in that particular sacrifice. So because we're acknowledging the Lord, the sacrifice actually bears fruit. And we advance. But if we just worship the demigods according to our material desires, then it won't work. The last one is 8. How can no one know him at the time of death? So up to 4, it's answered the Arjuna's or Krishna's statements. It's qualified what he was saying, and then Arjuna's original answer, what are these things? And now he's answered what are these things, and the last one will be actually explained all the way through the rest of the chapter, right to the end, about how can one know Krishna at the time of death. Okay. So who's not read that?
Me. Me. Is it my go?
You can go if you want, Andy. It only takes 5.
Takes 5, is it?
Yes.
Antakale kamamiva smaran mukta kalavaram ya prasyati sumadbhavam yati nasti natrasyam yasam. Is that right? Ish. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body remembering me alone at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajati yanti kalavaram tam tam eviti yantiya sadata bhavya bhadavtan. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state will attain without fail. Tasma,
Yes.
is that it?
So this is just emphasizing the point that we have to control the mind and constantly fix it on Krishna, and then we're safe. We can say, well, we can leave his body here, we can leave his body there, leave his body in Vrindavan, leave it in Yorkshire or wherever. But it doesn't really matter. It's a matter of what the consciousness is.
Yeah.
So we'll hear about that later. The devotee is not frightened about having to go to a certain place or, like that. Right. So the next one is talking about the practical process of thinking of Krishna while we're performing our activities. We might think that's difficult. We've got so many things to do. How can you think about Krishna? But it's not difficult if we actually think about it. Arjuna was on the battlefield and he was, dodging arrows. You know what I mean? He was actually fighting for his life, and then he was firing arrows back. He was remembering Krishna. So, we're not in that position. One devotee asked me that when I was giving class. How can we remember Krishna when we were driving down the motorway? You've got to concentrate on the road. So I gave that example of Arjuna. I said, if he can do it when he's dodging arrows, then I'm sure you can do it while you're driving down the motorway, So it takes practice. It's like in the back of the mind all the time. When we're chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, it's actually resounding in the background. We don't really appreciate it so much because we got used to it. It's just like, when I used to be, before I joined Mum at work, you'd sing a song and then somebody else would start singing it. You know what I mean? So it's like, I remember, did I tell you when I went to Chaitanya College? I used to be in the Midlands near Worcester, and I visited Manchester Temple a few times, and the leader there, Rancho, he said, "Why don't you go to a weekend in Chaitanya College?" And so I did. And when I was driving back from that weekend, the Maha mantra was just like buzzing through my head. I couldn't actually, it was like really prominent. So there's so many other things which is buzzing in people's head, but it's not Krishna consciousness, that is a cert. But for a devotee, it's prominent. It's always connected. Okay, so shall I read the next one, Namli Prabhu?
Tasmat Sarveshu Kalesu Mamanusmaraya Yuka Cha Maya Pita Mano Buddhya Mamesveya Asmeya. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. Abhyasa Yoga Yuktina Setasananya Kamena Paramam Pusaram Divyam Yati Pathanushinantyan. He who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undivided from the path. He,
Okay.
O Partha, is sure to reach me.
Okay. So now it's talking about the process of thinking about Krishna, and after this verse, it'll talk about Sat Chakra Yoga. They all got chakras, and the yogic process means that when your mind's controlled and you Ashtanga Yoga, and you're focusing on what you want to achieve, like the super soul or whatever it is, then you would raise the soul through the different chakras to the Ramarundram between the eyes and then to the back of the head. And then the soul would leave like that at the right time, right? And it'll talk about that after this verse. And then after that section, it'll talk about bhakti, the process of bhakti. And then it'll conclude by, saying that, the Sat Chakra yogi or anybody else, they have to pick a certain time of the day, and it has to be in the certain, lunar fortnight, and the sun has to be in this position, and so many things have to be there. Just like Bhishmadev, he was on the Battle of Kurukshetra, and he was waiting to leave his body at an auspicious time, but then it says, it concludes by saying, the devotee doesn't have to worry about that. He's just performing service and depending on Krishna. Okay, so what did you finish on? 8, was it? Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you've knocked your camera off, Maharaj.
I know.
All right.
I'll give you all a break.
Why?
So that were 5 to 8, and this is 9 to 13, and this is remembering Krishna by, it's called Yoga Mishra Bhakti. We know what the goal is, and we're performing yoga, which is Ashtanga yoga, and these are, if you read it, you'll see all the different things you have to take into consideration. So maybe Barbara Mataji, do you want to read?
Yes. I won't attempt the Sanskrit because I'll make a whole show of myself. So if you don't mind, I'll just leave that. So, where are we? 8, 9. One should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything, as he is the oldest, who is the controller, who is the smaller than the smallest, and who is the maintainer of everything, who is inconceivable beyond all material conception, and who is always a person. He is luminous like the sun, and he is transcendental beyond this material nature. 10. One who at the time of death fixes his life air between the eyebrows, and by the strength of yoga, with an undeviating mind, engages himself in remembering the Supreme Word in all devotion, will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
What happened to the Sanskrit?
I don't do Sanskrit, I can't get my tongue around this, I'm afraid. And I'll make a terrible show of myself.
Why don't you get a bash? Go
Pardon?
on. Go on, give it a try. You'll be surprised. You'll surprise yourself.
Oh no, I won't, honestly. I
Okay.
just feel like an idiot, so I'll probably never come back to the reading group again, if you don't mind.
It's all right. I feel like an idiot every time I try, but anyway.
Shall we carry on?
Yeah.
11. Persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkara, and who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into Brahman, desiring the perfection one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation.
Okay. But you also have to utter Omkara. So it's getting pretty complicated, isn't it? You know what I mean? So we'll change readers. Janine Fletcher, sorry. Would you like to read? No, okay.
Oh,
So,
hi, sorry.
yeah.
Hi. No, I'm very new to this, so this is my first time in the group. So if that's okay, I'd like to listen today. Thank you.
That's okay. So whose letters? Anthony and just listening. 2 just listenings. So Anthony, do you want to read?
Okay, text 12. Sarva Varani Samyamya Manoriti Narudracha Bodhane Adayat Mana Pranam Ashtito Yoga Dharanam. The yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements, closing all the doors of the senses and fixing the mind on the heart and the life air at the top of the head. One establishes himself in yoga. Text 13. Omiti Ekaksharam Brahma Yaran Mam Anushmaran Ya Prayati Yajan Deham Sayati Paramam Gatim.
Okay. Go on, carry on. Finish it.
After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets.
Okay. So that was explained because Arjuna didn't understand the process what he was talking about. You know, Sat Chakaroli, how do you perform that? So he's just Krishna just explained. And now he's going to, you know, you have to, the life force has to be controlled. So many different things. But here, you know, you have to be renounced, celibacy. You've got to have knowledge. You've got to utter the Omkara. And then You've got to close all the doors and senses, withdrawing all the senses from their objects, fixing the mind on the heart, fixing the prana at the top of the head, taking shelter of me completely. That's the difference. So now we're going to talk about remembering Krishna by pure bhakti. And this is called Kevala Bhakti, without any material desires. Okay, carry on.
Text 14. Ananya Cheta Satatam Yomam Smarati Nityasha Tashyaham Sulabha Partha Nitya Yuktasya Yogina. For one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. Text 15. Mam Yupetya Punajanma Dukalayam Ashashvatam Napnuvanti Mahatmana Samsiddhim Paramam Gata. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogas in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection.
Okay. So there's higher taste. So saying that, we can enter into the kingdom of God. And so it's going to contrast with material thought. This is in 16, and where that takes us, and what the material world is all about. Carry on.
Abrahman Bhuvanoloka Panaravati no Jana Mam Yupetyaku Kontaya Panajamana Vidyate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again.
Okay, so in other words, you're wasting your time trying to obtain any happiness in the material world. Places of misery. But somehow or other, we still seem to think we can actually get some happiness. So that's the power of the illusory energy. So in 17 to 19, that's the next 3 verses. It'll talk about the first 2 lines of this verse. Everyone in all planets up to Brahmaloka take repeated birth and death, even if they are pious. And then from 19 to 22, it'll talk about, the one who attains the supreme abode. Okay, so we go back to Jai Krishna then. I think that's everybody, is it? And does anybody else want to read?
I think so.
Okay, so carry on then.
It's text 17, right?
Yeah.
Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Ahayad Brahmano Vidhu Ratrim Yuga Sahasrantam Te Horata Vido Janaha. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together form the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night.
So, even though it's a long, long time, it still comes to an end. It's like from the highest planet. I was thinking about the pastime of Lord Brahma, where he steals the cowherd boys. You remember that one? And then when he comes back after just a few moments, he says in the Krishna book, it's like they're all there again. So what's going on? And so, he'd only been away a moment, but then it says in that part of the, the Krishna book and Bhagavatam that a whole year had passed. So it seems to be, according to what that's saying, it's relative. He felt like it was a moment, because he was in a higher realm in the Brahmaloka, or a few moments. And when he came back, it had been a whole year. So if that's true, it means there's no difference. Even though they live for such a long time, it seems like the same time that we're living. Yeah. It's like the firefly, it's born in the early evening and it exhibits its brightness throughout the night, then it dies in the morning, but that's a full life. And it feels like the same life as ours. Okay, next one. Go on.
Avyaktad Vriyaktyaha Sava Prabhavantyaha Agame Ratra Yagme Pralyante Tatre Vayakta Sam Kanek. At the beginning of Brahma's day, all living entities become manifest from the unmanifest state, and thereafter, when the night falls, they are merged into the unmanifest again. Shall I
They're
carry on?
manifest. They're still there, but manifest it. We can see and we can't see. That's all. Krishna's manifested pastimes, his unmanifested pastimes, same sort of thing. Okay.
Bhuta Gramaha Sa Evayam Budva Pralayate Ratra Yagme Vaisha Parata Prabhyavyatyaha Agame. Again and again, when Brahma's day arrives, all living entities come into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated.
Okay. Not much to look forward to, is it? You know. I think by the time you read Bhagavadgita, you know, you're not going to actually, you'll never be the same. I remember when I first started practicing, I thought, oh, it's, it's interesting, but it's so difficult, you know. I thought I'll have to do something, you know, I can't just ignore it. And I thought I'd go in, I thought I'd go in and see the local vicar, you know, and doing something down there. And I actually got to the church gates, you know, and he was in the garden doing something. I thought I can't go in there, I know too much. So I've got to go all the way, you know. I'll never be satisfied if I'm just fiddling about halfway. Okay. Where did you get to?
I'm on 20 now.
Okay, so now it's going to talk about, let's have a look, the eternal spiritual abode. This is the unmanifest nature which we can't see, the Sanatan. Sanatan means eternal. Yeah. Readers will have done again.
20. Parastasmato bhavonyo vyakyo vyaktatanataha yasavishu bhutashu neshachanas vinasyati. Yet there is another nature, which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and it is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. 20. Avyakto kashariti yuktas tamahu paramtapatim yam prapyana nivatante tatama paramama. That supreme abode is called unmanifested and infallible, and it is the supreme destination. When one goes there, he never comes back. That is my supreme abode.
That sounds a bit better. Let's have a look. So now we've been described as alternatives. It's going to, I mean, most people will go for the last one, I should imagine. But it says Krishna's abode is attainable only by unalloyed pure bhakti. So from 22 onwards, 22, sorry, this is a very nice verse in the Bhagavadgita. Ananyascintiantamam ye ganaha paripasate tesham nitya bhaguptainam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Oh, that's in 9, sorry. So I'll read that. Done.
22.
Yeah.
Purushahasa parapata bhaktya labhyastu anantaya yasyantasani bhutani yena savamidam tatam. The Supreme Personality Godhead, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is all-pervading, and everything is situated within him. 23. Yatra kale tviya navritim avritim cheva yoginaha prayata yanti tam kalam vyakshami bharata shata. O best of the Bharatas, I shall now explain to you the different times at which, passing away from this world, one does or does not come back. 24.
Okay. So now we've got the two alternatives. One. Maybe Mataji can read next. You want to read, Mataji?
24. No, is that right?
24.
Agni Jyotir Aha Sukla Sammasa Uttarayanam Tatraya Prayata Gachanti Brahma Brahma Vido Jana. Those who know the Supreme Brahman pass away from the world during the influence of the fiery god in the light at an auspicious moment during the fortnight of the moon and the 6 months when the sun travels in the north. 25. Dumo Ratristata Krishna Sanmasa Dakshina Yanam Tatra Chandramasam Jyoti Yogi Prapya Nivartate. The mystic passes away from this world during the smoke, the night, the moonlight fortnight, or in the 6 months when the sun passes to the south, or who reaches the moon planet, again comes back. 26.
Right. So it's describing the Bhagavatam how you go over the Milky Way. It's a gradual step-by-step process. It reminds me of the Wizard of Oz, you know. There's they say somewhere over the rainbow, don't they? You remember that song? No?
Carry on.
Yeah, so it's you go actually they call it the what do they call it now? Shishuma. The Shishuma planetary system. You go from planet to planet on your way by. Okay. Now it talks. What number was that? 20?
7.
5.
No.
25. Carry on then.
That was 25.
Oh, that was 25. Now it's 26. Okay. Oh. Shukla Krishna Gati Hi Ete Jagata Shashvate Mate Ekaya Yati Anavriti Anyaya Vartate Puna. According to the Vedas, there are two ways of passing from this world, one in light and one in darkness. When one passes in light, he does not come back, but when one passes in darkness, he returns.
Okay. So now we're going to hear about, so it's dependent on auspicious, inauspicious times, time, so many things are there. And now we're going to hear about the process of leaving the body and back to yoga.
Natishtri Partajanam Yogi Mukhyati Kashana Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Yoga Yukto Pravarjuna. The devotees who know these two paths, O Arjuna, are never bewildered, therefore be always fixed in devotion. 27. I know, I'm just making a note here. 28. Vedeshu Yagneshu Tapashu Chaiva Daneshu Yat Punya Palam Pradistam Atyatitat Sarvam Idam Vidiva Yogi Param Stanam Upaiti Chadyam. A person that the past devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing austere sacrifices, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. At the end, he reaches the supreme abode.
I like to quote this verse when we're comparing how, people who are attached materially and they think, devotional service is actually going to take it away. So Krishna's saying that you actually get everything and you get me at the end. So we just have to depend on Krishna when he gives it to us. You know what I mean? He'll give it to us when we don't want it. That's what I've found anyway. When we're sufficiently detached that we can take it in a stride and we're not overpowered by it, you know? Anybody had that experience? Yeah. No, I don't want it now. So, it's like that. And so then it's like Dhruva Maharaj, he was like that, weren't he? He wanted so much. And then Krishna gets, he was saying, I don't really want it, but he said, you can take it. And so just to, you know, I don't know why Krishna does that. It's probably because we have some, you know, there's maybe still some, even though we say we don't want it, there may still be some lingering desire in the heart, and it completely eradicates it. Or it's an opportunity to use it in Krishna's service and purify ourselves, because that's our propensity to enjoy that sort of thing. So whatever we're doing, we have to somehow connect it. And so, you know, there shouldn't be any doubt that we should get, you know, Prabhupada went to Vrindavan to leave his body. But Bhaktitirtha Maharaj, he left his body in Pennsylvania farm. In the Pennsylvania farm. And he did it to show people that you don't have to leave your body. You don't have to make arrangements. You can leave it wherever you are if you're actually fixed in Krishna consciousness. So we should be assured about that. Wherever we are, we know, if we're out in Sheffield, it's not really a Krishna conscious center as much. It's just a few devotees coming together, which is good. But it's not like a big temple or anything. A dharma like Bhaktivedanta Mana, that's a dharma. But still, you know, if we're actually, you know, fixed on trying to perform devotional service, then, you know, we'll get the result in the end. That's what it's saying. And we'll develop a desire to actually live in the Dharma, maybe. We may go there or we may not. Any comments on that or any questions?
I have a question, Maharaj. In the beginning of this chapter, you mentioned a word that I didn't catch. It sounded, this is how I wrote down, it sounded, Saki Shastra Yogi. Is that the word?
What was that? Sat Chakra Yoga. Is that what you're
Sorry?
saying? Sat Chakra Yoga.
Yeah.
Sat.
Chakra yoga. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Sat means 6.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it means chakra, the 6 chakras, you know, circles of air, the life force in the body has circles. So how to, you know, yoga means to link with God, how to connect the soul with Krishna through Sat Chakra Yoga. And Arjuna couldn't understand that. You know, you raise through the circles of life in the body, there's the navel, and then the heart, and then the throat, and then, you know, between the eyes and the back of the head.
Yeah.
And there's Kundalini, that comes to then it comes to the
So
to the navel.
if we remember to chant Hare Krishna, we don't need to know about this.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, then.
Yeah, you got to concentrate on the holy name.
Thank you.
That's not easy. That's not very easy either. That's a lifetime's work just to chant properly, you know. Well, I'm finding that anyway. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm still trying anyway. You're on the right path. Don't worry. We'll get any material desires. They'll come to us and they'll go away. So we won't miss out on anything. I've noticed that since I've been a devotee, I don't miss anything. You know what I mean? There's nothing I really want for, and it's less hassle. You know. Has anybody else found that?
Actually, my life's loads better since becoming a devotee. I spend time with better people. I have a much better life.
Yeah. So, you know, why would we want to actually change that, you know?
Yeah.
So it don't matter how long it takes, it'll take one lifetime if we keep going, but you know, we shouldn't be doubtful. That's the main thing, that we're on the proper path. Okay, everybody, we'll see you next week. Hopefully.
Thank you.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.